Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling one of science's most famous, or maybe infamous, charts. But we're doing it with a bit of a twist. Instead of just a boring list to memorize, we're going to explore the periodic table as a story, one told with rhythm and rhyme.
Yeah. I'm sure for a lot of you, the periodic table just brings back these memories of a giant, kind of scary chart hanging in your science class, right? It just felt like this endless list of weird names and numbers you had to cram into your brain. But what if there's a much better, way more intuitive way to learn it?
Well, today, we're going to check out this absolutely brilliant Hindi poem that actually brings the first 20 elements to life. It gives each one its own personality, making it way easier to remember. So you ready? Let's see how this thing works.
All right, so we're going to follow the poem's path element by element. And we're starting right where you'd expect, at the very top of the table with the first two building blocks of, well, everything.
The poem wastes no time. It tells us exactly where to begin. Let's start with hydrogen. Simple as that. It's atomic number 1, the official starting line for the whole table.
And right next door, we've got element number 2. The poem says, helium flies up high, which is, a perfect description for the gas that makes all those birthday balloons float. Super simple. Okay, so let's drop down to the next row. This is where the poem's rhythm really starts to pick up, as we meet a whole new group of 8 pretty diverse elements. I love how the poem introduces these guys in pairs. First, you get lithium and beryllium come together. Then, and this is great, it gives a personality to the next two. Boron and carbon show a smile. How cool is that? It's such a fun, humanizing way to think about elements 3 through 6. And the poem just keeps rolling. It says nitrogen and oxygen are air, which, yeah, they literally are. Then it calls out strong fluorine, which is the most reactive element out there. And finally, it tells us that neon lights the lamp, which of course you see in all those bright city signs. So think about that. In just 4 short lines, we've got these memorable little stories for 8 totally different elements. We've covered everything from the air we're breathing right now to the lights that make our cities glow. All right, the rhythm keeps going as we move down to row 3. And let me tell you, this group is packed with elements that have some seriously dramatic and unique personalities. And we start with a literal bang. The poem says, sodium causes a commotion in water. Honestly, if you've ever seen one of those videos of pure sodium hitting water, you know commotion is putting it mildly. What a vivid picture.
Right next to it is magnesium. And the poem has it proudly puffing out its chest and saying, magnesium says, I am strong, friend. This is just a perfect little memory trick because magnesium is a huge part of what makes strong, lightweight metal alloys.
And this is what I think is so genius about the poem. It perfectly captures this massive difference in personality between two elements that are literally neighbors on the table. You've got one that's explosive, and the one right next to it is stable and strong. It's fantastic.
Next up, the poem points to 2 absolute pillars of our modern world. Aluminum is the light brother, perfect for airplanes and soda cans. And then silicon is useful in chips, which is literally the foundation of our entire digital world.
Then we get 2 super simple but totally brilliant visual clues. Phosphorus glows at night, and sulfur is yellow. What a great thing. It's just, these little lines give us an unforgettable color and a key property for each one. So simple, so effective. And here we go with 2 more opposites. The poem calls chlorine the king of cleaning, which makes sense. We use it in pools, in bleach. And then you've got argon, which is silent, no reacting. I mean, that's a flawless description for a noble gas that doesn't interact with anything. Okay, let's do a quick recap of that super diverse group. We met explosive sodium, strong magnesium, lightweight aluminum, and techie silicon. Then we had glowing phosphorus, yellow sulfur, chlorine the cleaner, and finally silent argon. You see? The poem has given every single one a unique and really memorable identity. All right, we've made it to the final couplet of the poem. This part covers the first 2 super important elements of the 4th row, and these 2 are absolutely fundamental to life itself. So, just like its cousin sodium, potassium is super reactive, but the poem actually turns up the drama here. It says potassium creates a blast in water. It's even more volatile than sodium, and the poem just nails that distinction.
And friendly, we land on number 20, calcium. The poem ends with a simple, powerful fact that we all grew up hearing. Calcium makes bones strong. I mean, it's the literal building block of our skeletons.
So what we've just walked through here is a classic mnemonic device. That's really all it is. By using rhythm and rhyme and giving these elements personalities, the poem transforms this dry, boring list of names into a story. And that's a story that actually sticks in your head. And boom, just like that, without any painful memorization, you've basically just met the first 20 elements of the periodic table. And you haven't just learned their names, you've learned something cool and unique about each one's personality.
I mean, just think about the journey we just took in a few short lines. We went from the simplest element, hydrogen, all the way through the air we breathe, the tech we use every day, and landed on the calcium that holds our bodies together. Every single one has its own little story.
So here's the real takeaway from all this. The periodic table, it isn't just some chart you have to memorize for a test. It's more like a cast of characters, a story about the fundamental building blocks of our entire universe. And the crazy thing is, we've only just met the first 20. Can you even imagine the stories the other 98 have to tell?